So certainly this is not unique to Battletech. I want to show you guys my new lance, the Red Hand, or I can't say the Crimson Fist because that's trademarked. I'll get Games Workshop down on me so fast. The name is still up in the air. So you know how this goes if you're a miniature wargamer, where you're good. Your collection is good. Your collection is solid. You're happy where you are. You're done. You don't need more. But then you see something on eBay, or you get a new idea, or you realize you have more miniatures than you're going to use in one list, so you spawn a second list. That's where I am at the moment. It started with this guy right here. The Mackie, kind of the urban mech on steroids. I saw him on eBay. The narrative was kind of neat on him, and I thought, hey, it would be fun to kind of field an ancient relic on the battlefield, although he has his challenges. So I picked him up, and I was going to add him to my Dogs of War mercenary company. But honestly, at this point, I'll get them all out and do a vlog on it, or a video, I should say. I probably have about 50 or 55 mechs. I mean, I'm good. They're the mechs I like to play. I've got a lot of specialized mechs. There's really nothing more to add to that list in this case. Maybe some air support on there. But in terms of mechs and vehicles, I've gone as far as I'm going to go. So I still have a bunch of mechs that I was going to add, and I thought, let's start a new list. Let's start a new type of lance, but I'm going to make this a narrative lance, meaning once I painted up my initial mechs and tanks and vehicles, which I'm going to share with you guys here, adding new stuff, I'm only going to add it if I can win it in combat. And I'm not talking about a campaign. I'm talking about all of the Battletech games that I'm going to play. When I take out one of my opponent's mechs, and if I win the mission and in theory could hold or take the field, based on what I've destroyed or crippled, I'll say I've salvaged it. Now I'll go out to Ironwind, or I'll go out to Bartertown, or I'll go out to eBay, and if I want to add that mech to my lance, to my stable, then I can do it from there. So if I want a Warhammer, I got to find an opponent, play them, beat them, and somehow have the Warhammer remains on the table enough to salvage. Then I can add it to my list. So I thought this would be a great way to kind of play a narrative game as we go without playing in a campaign. So the story, everyone needs a story, right? Starts out with this guy right here. And the pilot, I'm still looking for a good name. Essentially, he inherited this mech from his family. And it's been in service for, 400 years. This is borrowing on the vlog narrative we did where I asked the question, it's time for your inheritance. Your father has taken you before the mech hangar, and maybe with your brother. And up for grabs is a battle master, a locust, and say a Vulcan. And the doors are opening and you're like, this is my inheritance. And like, what's that one mech that, hey, look, it's better than being dispossessed, but that one mech where you're like, really? I could have gotten the battle master, but I got this. So I wanted to get this quirky mech, the Mackie, on here to play with it and have some fun. So this guy started the mercenary company, and he's a notorious gambler. He's lucky. It's almost like the DNA of this Mackie here means it survived 400 years of combat, primitive fusion engine, primitive armor, early model PPC when it was first released, autocannon 10. He's literally still kicking this can around. Luck is in this family DNA. So he was out there gambling, and he won a contract. He literally won a city. It's like a high stakes, I don't know, what are they playing, poker? What do they play in the inner sphere? He won this massive poker game, and he won this city on some backwater planet. Unfortunately, the city, it was bombed out. It was destroyed. It was a wreck. There's nothing to salvage. It's been picked over. There's no one living there. It's like a radioactive wasteland. So what the heck is he going to do? So as luck would have it, there was a Kong Industries showroom there, showing off the latest Ost class mechs, the Ost War, the Ost Rock, the Ostman. So we immediately got those operational, and he's got those 3 mechs to add on there. So we're looking at kind of a pod list. So then, continuing to gamble a little bit, he wins an urban mech. that I added because I've been enjoying the Irby. He's been a lot of fun to play. You got a Thorn, which has been a really kind of nice harassment type mech on there. A fire starter, because in my Dogs of War list, like, look, do I need 4 fire starters? No, so let's put 1 in there. A longbow, which I love the longbow, playing the longbow. A mech that I don't usually play. Actually, I've never played before. I've had this kit. I've had this model. Painted him up. Ready to go. A Marauder. How could... I like the Warhammer. I love the Battlemaster. How could I not have played the Marauder? So it'll be interesting to see how he unlocks. And I have to say, anytime I faced a Marauder, it's been a nasty machine. It has been a tough machine to kind of take down and fight. Good armor, PPCs, the autocannon, the lasers. It's tough. So I'm hoping to unlock and see how that plays. The last mech before we get into vehicles, Scorpion. I based him just to have the hex he occupies. I don't know how you get these legs to fit on that base, and it feels weird not to have my mechs on a base. So that'll kind of fit in. Vehicle-wise, drawing from my all-infantry type list, drawing from my Dogs of War, and my Grey Death Legion, looking and saying, I have 8 goblins. Am I ever going to play 8 goblins in my Dogs of War list? No, so let's take 2, because I want to get enough mechs. Let's take 2, and we've got some infantry in there to add. So that'll cover the infantry aspect. Then we have, everyone has their favorite mechs. My favorite tank. And not just my new favorite tank of the moment, but my new favorite tank, Demolishers. Demolishers. You can have your fancy plans. You can have your fancy mechs. You can have your exotic Tactica. Big guns don't tire. You can't argue with an autocannon 20. You definitely can't argue with 2 autocannon 20s. And not having... It feels weird not to play an autocannon 20 type list in there. So without having that in the mechs, I get that in the tanks. They've been interesting in the past couple of games. They've really been taking and both dishing out and taking a lot of damage in there. And then for the long range support, 2 LRM carriers. Wish the LRM carriers had some better armor. There's been a couple of instances where they have been one-shotted, and that's made me very sad face because now I've lost it. But I understand the balance with the weight, the missiles, and where they are in the narrative for the game. So this is where I was going to say the Crimson Fists. Can't say that. The Red Hand, the Something Hand, the Mercenary Hand, the Lucky Hand. Do I have to paint maybe some cards, maybe some like Kings and Queens on the various mechs, try to freehand some stuff. Do something there. But looking at these guys, this is the mech list. This is the group on there. What mechs I'll add? We'll see. It's very Riddick. It's very, I'm going to be able to keep what I kill.